Question. Okay, before December 30th, 2020, had you ever ingested marijuana?
Okay, go ahead, Counselor. Sorry.
You see there where it says guilty plea agreement?
Yes.
And tell me if I read this correctly. It says, I hereby agree to plead guilty to, did I read that correctly so far?
Yes.
Okay. Count 1, reckless driving, category B felony, NRS 484B.653, NOC 53896. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
And count 2, vehicular manslaughter, misdemeanor, NRS 484B.657, NOC 53898. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So you see now it's 2 different counts.
Yes.
Okay. You agree that you pled guilty to these 2 counts, correct?
Yeah, I pled guilty for my part.
Got it.
Yeah.
And as a part of this plea agreement, if we can go down just a little bit, Joe. Yeah, just where it says 90 days. And as a part of this plea agreement, as count 1, you got probation, correct? As to count 1.
Yes.
And as to count 2, you were supposed to serve a sentence of 90 days at Clark County Detention Center, correct?
Yes.
But you didn't serve the full 90 days, correct, Zeon?
No.
You only served 56 days, correct?
That, yeah, something like close up to there.
You don't remember the exact number of days?
No.
Okay. Does 56 sound right?
Yeah, around there, yes.
Okay. So as a result of this crash where someone died and you pled guilty to these 2 counts, you only ended up serving 56 days at CCDC, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
Overruled.
Say it again, please.
Sure. As a result of this crash where you're going 88 and someone died and you pled guilty to 2 counts, you only served 56 days at Clark County Detention Center, correct?
Well, yeah, like, because of like how the accident happened, I pled guilty for like my role in speeding, and that's why we did the deal.
Is your answer yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. You're aware that this case we're here on today is not a criminal case. You're aware of that, right?
Yes.
Okay. You're aware this case that you're here on today, you cannot go to jail or prison for this case, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. And before this crash occurred, you drank and smoked weed occasionally, correct?
Nah, I don't smoke weed. I don't do no drugs. So.
Okay. Do you remember what you told the officer in the hospital?
Nah, I don't even remember going to the hospital.
Okay. Can we show clip 3, please, Joe?
I'm Officer Powell, okay? We're gonna be doing an investigation, all right? So right now, I'm gonna be checking spraying and permit. I don't know. What did you drink today?
You see where you said occasionally when asked whether you drink alcohol or smoke marijuana?
I see that, but I don't remember. I don't even remember saying that. I don't remember even being at the hospital.
Were you being untruthful to the officer when you said that?
What do you mean?
Well, you were telling something to a police officer. You realize that, right?
I don't remember that, but yeah, I see that.
So my question to you is, were you being untruthful to the police officer when you told the police officer that you drink occasionally and smoke marijuana occasionally?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
Overruled.
Um, I don't smoke. I don't do no drugs. Like I don't. Did I say I smoke it? Like I don't remember even saying that.
Do you want to play it again?
Yes.
Okay, let's play it again, please, Joe.
A little bit. Are you all able to hear it? Because I had trouble hearing it. Okay.
Do that, you said, well, occasionally, and then any weed, occasionally. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Were you being untruthful to the officer when you told the officer you drink occasionally and you smoke marijuana occasionally?
I don't smoke weed, eat weed. I don't do nothing with weed. So I don't even remember this video. I don't remember talking to no officers or nothing.
Okay. So if you told the officer you smoke marijuana occasionally, you would be telling him something that's false, correct?
I mean, I don't smoke weed, so I don't know why would I say that.
Okay. So you're saying you have never used marijuana prior to this crash?
Knowingly, no, I never used marijuana. Knowingly, like, um, the charge that tried to charge me with that, the grand jury didn't indict me on was a DUI. And then during my sentencing, the DA threw it out.
I understand. I'm not asking about the charge. What I'm asking you about is whether you smoked marijuana occasionally prior to this crash, and your answer is no.
I never said I don't know why I said that. So
Okay, fair enough.
that's all I'm saying. I don't know why I said that. I don't even remember that video.
Thank you, Zaon. Do you know it's a crime to make a false statement to an officer?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative. Calls for a legal conclusion.
Sustained.
Zaon, your claim is that over the weekend prior to this crash, you went to your friend's birthday party, correct?
Yeah, I went to a party. Yeah.
And at some point of the party, you're claiming someone handed you a gummy, correct?
Yeah, I ate a gummy there. It was like I remember it was on the counter or the table or somewhere, and I was like, there was just Sour Patch candies, and I just thought they was regular Sour Patch candies. They looked identical to it, so I just ate a couple, and then I wasn't feeling so good, so I got picked up.
Did someone give you the gummy or did you just get it yourself?
I can't remember if it was handed to me or I know I seen them, and I'm like, yeah, like I want some candy right now, so I just ate a couple.
Okay. And that was you claim that's the first time you ingested marijuana?
Uh, yeah, that was unknowingly that was my first time.
You know it's not illegal to ingest marijuana in Nevada as of 2017 forward. Did you know that?
What?
Did you know it is not illegal to ingest marijuana in Nevada from 2017 forward?
Objection, legal opinion.
Sustained.
Okay. Do you know the name of the friend's birthday party you were at where you took the gummy?
Do I know what?
The name of the friend whose birthday party you were at where you took the gummy?
Um, I don't even know if it was a birthday party.
It was the weekend before this crash occurred. That's when this happened, correct?
I'm not sure.
Let's go over your interrogatory response, okay? You're going to look at response number 9.
Okay, while he's doing that, let me just ask. Our plan is to try to get past the 12 o'clock hour and then take a lunch break and give you guys a full hour for lunch. And if we do that, we have about half an hour or so more to go, a little bit more, probably about 35 minutes. But does anybody need a break right now? Or are you guys okay to keep going for about 35, 40 minutes? I'm seeing everybody nod their head. Yes. Do you need a break? I'm sorry? You need restroom break. Okay, so why don't we just take a quick one right now then? Like, let's try to make it a 10-minute, 15 minutes at the most break. It is now 11:27. I'm gonna ask you to come back no later than 11:45, but if you can come back at 11:40, that'd be even better. With the idea that then we're gonna go till about 12:20, 12:30, somewhere right in that window and take our break then. We will take the lunch break no later than 12:30 because I do know that somebody has a limitation. I don't need to know who and I don't need the details. I just know that one of the jurors came to my marshal with a limitation saying that they did need to take a lunch break today because they need to handle something for work. So we'll do our lunch break no later than 12:30, but right now we're just going to take a quick 10-15 minute bathroom break. I got to read you the instruction. You're instructed not to talk with each other with anyone else about any subject or issue connected with this trial. You're not to read, watch, or listen to any report of or commentary on the trial by any person connected with this case or by any media of information, including without limitation, newspapers, television, internet, and radio. You're not to conduct any research on your own relating to this case, such as consulting dictionaries, using the internet, or using reference materials. You're not to conduct any investigation, test any theory of the case, recreate an aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own. You're not to talk with others, text others, tweet others, Google issues, or conduct any other kind of book or computer research with regard to any issue, party, witness, or attorney involved in this case. You're not to form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is finally submitted to you. With that being said, you are on a break until 11:45.
All right.
Somewhere between 12:20 and 12:30, we will break again. I will try not to break in the middle of a question as best we can, okay?
I'll be done before 12:30.
Oh, okay, that's perfect then.
Sure.
And you want to do limited or not at all?
Just a couple questions, if that's okay, as long as I'm not waiving any right to recall.
I don't think she's waiving your right to recall, Your Honor. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Then that's what we'll do.
Just because it's Stephanie.
Did you want to ask any questions?
Yes, I'll have some questions. Sure.
Glad I got that one.
We're all back here.
Okay, we're ready. Everyone can please be seated. To counsel acknowledge the presence of the jury.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, counsel, go ahead and continue where you were.
All right, this birthday party that you're talking about where you took the gummy, that was over the weekend before the crash, correct?
Yeah, how many days? I don't know how many days before.
So was it over the weekend or not over the weekend?
It was before the accident, like a couple of days.
Okay. Do you remember what you said about that in your interrogatories?
No.
Can you pick up your interrogatories and go to page 11 if you want, if you can, please? Remember that document we were going over?
The paper one? Paper one?
Yeah, the paper one, you got it. Page 11? Sorry.
I'm here.
There?
Yes.
And I'm reading from line 5. Do you see where it starts? I did not intentionally consume any intoxicating beverages.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me if I read this correctly. I did not intentionally consume any intoxicating beverages, medications, or drugs within 72 hours preceding the accident. On the weekend, or possibly Monday before the accident, I attended a birthday party for a friend. A different friend asked me if I wanted a Sour Patch gummy, and I ate 2. After I started feeling dizzy, I was told the gummies contained marijuana or THC. I did not know they contained marijuana before I ate them. And I ate them only because I like gummies. The effects of the gummies lasted a few hours, and I no longer felt the effects the next day. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
When you signed your verification page to these interrogatory responses, you understood that you were swearing under oath that all these answers were true and correct to the best of your ability, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
you remember what you said about this in your deposition?
I don't.
Okay, let's go to page 14 of your deposition, okay? Starting at line 7. Tell me if I read this correctly. I'm going through page 15, line 2, okay? Question. Okay, before December 30th, 2020, had you ever ingested marijuana? Answer. Not in my knowledge. No, I didn't know I was ingesting marijuana. No, I didn't, not knowingly, but yes. Okay, how many times before December 30th, 2020 had you ingested marijuana? Answer. 1 time. Question. Okay, when was that? Answer. It was days prior to the accident. Question. And tell us what happened. Answer. I was at my friend's birthday party and I just seen some candy. And my friend was like, you want some? Like, yeah. He brought me a couple and then I just ate the candy. Question. And answer. I started feeling a little dizzy or lightheaded or something. Just felt weird. I asked him like, what was in that? And he said, it was marijuana. And it was marijuana gummies, you know? Question. Okay, and who is this friend? Answer. What? Who was it? I can't remember who it was, but it was handed to me by a friend. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. As you see here today, do you remember the friend who handed you the gummy?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember the person's house you were at when this happened?
No, it was, I don't know. It was just a regular high school party. I don't remember who house we were at.
Either way, you said in both your interrogatory response and your deposition that this happened days before the accident, correct?
Yes.
And days with an S means it's plural, more than 1 day. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. And that's why you claim there was marijuana in your system when the crash occurred, correct?
Yes. Because I don't smoke weed and do anything with it. So yes,
I thought you don't smoke weed at all.
I literally said that.
Okay. Was the person who handed you the gummy a complete stranger or was it someone that you knew?
I wouldn't take candy from a stranger.
Okay, so it was someone you knew,
Yeah, it had to be.
but somehow you don't remember their name.
No, I don't remember who handed me the Sour Patch, but the Sour Patch, it looked just like Sour Patch. I mean, like from the little from the Sour Patch logo on the outside to the color to the size, like everything looked like identical to Sour Patch. It was a Sour Patch gummy.
Now, if you remember the name of the person who handed you the gummy, we can ask them questions and see if we can confirm whether what you're saying is true or whether the person says that's false. You agree?
Yes.
But since you don't remember, we have no one here to say whether what you're saying is true or false, correct?
Yes.
You know it's also dangerous to smoke marijuana and get behind the wheel, correct?
Yeah, that's why I don't do it. I never did it.
Do you remember when they drew blood from you after this crash?
No.
Do you remember them drawing blood?
No.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Just want to confirm something. Between when the crash happened and when they drew blood, how much time went by?
Objection Foundation, he testified he doesn't remember it happening.
Calls for speculation and join.
He says he doesn't know, yeah.
I'm sorry, I actually didn't understand what you just said.
Oh, if he says he doesn't know, but I'm just trying to make sure that
Overruled.
Yeah, I don't remember.
you don't remember. I want to make sure we're clear. You didn't smoke marijuana in between when the crash happened and when the blood draw occurred. Agreed?
No.
Thank
I
you.
don't know.
Thank you.
No.
Did you know you were over the legal limit for both marijuana metabolite and THC when they drew blood from you?
I have no clue what that means.
Well, there's a legal limit for marijuana in your system when you're behind the wheel. Do you understand that?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for a legal conclusion, also calls for speculation and an expert opinion.
Okay. You're objecting to the question, do you know there's a legal limit?
The entire line of questioning, because he doesn't understand, he's not a toxicology expert. However, that particular question, with the way it was phrased, calls for an illegal conclusion.
Okay. The question, as I understand it, that you were asking, Mr. Ladah, is do you know there's a legal limit? Is that your question?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. As to that question, any objection that I just heard? Based on that he's not an expert, so he can't give that opinion, is that what you guys are giving? And that he asked for a legal conclusion?
Legal conclusion.
Is that your objection too, Mr. Watson? Mr. Watson? Okay, overruled. You can ask the question.
Did you know there's a legal limit for smoking marijuana and getting behind the wheel?
Did or do? I mean, yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Just like alcohol, there's a legal limit where you can't be above a certain limit and get behind the wheel of a car, correct?
Yeah, but I wasn't high. Like,
I understand that's what you're saying. Did you know you were over the legal limit for both THC and marijuana metabolite when the crash occurred?
Objection, Your Honor, lacks foundation, calls for an expert opinion.
Do you have any response?
He just testified he was in the whole grand jury proceedings and he talked about it in detail and
Do you think this is within his purview of knowledge? Is that
yes,
what
Your
you're
Honor.
saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you're saying lacks foundation. Overruled.
Do you want me to ask the question again?
yes, please.
Did you know that you were over the legal limit for both THC and marijuana metabolite when they drew blood?
What do you mean when they as they drew the blood or?
Yeah, so when they test the blood, they do it, they draw blood and then they test it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, did you know when they drew the blood and they tested it, you were over the legal limit for both
No.
THC and marijuana metabolite?
Nah, I didn't think nothing of it.
So you didn't know that?
Hold on a second. I'm not trying to. You gotta wait for him to finish his whole question, and he's gonna wait for you to finish your whole answer. Otherwise, our transcript's gonna be really difficult to decipher, and we're not gonna get everybody's answers on. So if you need to, both of you just take a breath, maybe, while the other person is getting their response on, so that we make sure we have all the answers and all the questions clear. Go ahead, Mr. Ladah.
So you did not know you were over the legal limit?
I mean, I don't remember them drawing my blood.
You don't remember anything after the crash, sounds like.
Only thing I remember after the crash is checking on the other car. Let's see if he was okay.
You don't remember anything we showed you in the scenes, body cam footage, you talking to officers either. You don't remember that?
I don't remember talking to any officers.
Okay. Are you claiming that's not you in the video?
I did not say that.
You agree that's you in the videos I've been showing?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Joe, can we pull out 17-170 or 7-170? I'm sorry, please. Did you know this unsealed container of marijuana depicted here in 7-170 was in the car when the crash occurred?
No, I did not know that was in the car.
Okay. You said you drive this car on a regular basis, correct?
Yeah, throughout the week, if my dad wasn't using it, I'll drive it. If I wasn't using the other car, me and my sister shared.
Had you seen unsealed containers of marijuana in the car other times you've driven it?
No,
So and you didn't see it this time either?
no.
Can we show the next one, Your Honor? Or Joe, please? Do you know what that is in the container?
No,
You have no idea?
no.
Okay. Do you remember when the officer told you that you gave up your right of way because you were driving so fast?
No.
Can we show that, Joe, please?
I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you right now, based off those damages, that was on case first. Based off those damages, you have to go into the area. It's in your corner. No, I mean, like, driving above the speed limit, and such, like, way over the speed limit. So there's a thing where, yeah, normally, for you, you wouldn't be at fault for the collision. However, if speed is a factor, and you're going way above the speed limit, you almost give up that right of way that you have because you're going so fast. It becomes unreasonable for the right of way. You miss the point.
You don't remember the officer telling you that?
No.
Okay. I'm going to give you an opportunity right here, Zeon, to accept full responsibility for this crash. Do you accept full and unconditional responsibility for causing this crash that caused the death of Eric Echevarria?
I take responsibility on my part that caused this crash. I'm truly sorry. But when he cut in front of me, I just couldn't avoid it. I wasn't high, I wasn't impaired at the time, and I just take responsibility for my part of this crash.
You weren't high, you were just going 88 and a 35.
Yes, I was speeding, yes. And I apologize for that.
Is part of the reason why you don't take full responsibility is because you're claiming that Eric pulled in front of you and stopped in the middle of the intersection?
I'm claiming he cut in front of me as I'm going. I had the right of way. So
And-
when he cut in front of me, that's
And you're claiming he also stopped in the intersection, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, misstates testimony.
Overruled.
You're claiming he also stopped in the intersection, correct, Zeon?
he stopped, and then he went right after. So I thought he would see me, but he didn't, and the accident happened.
But when he stopped, you're saying he stopped in the intersection, correct?
I don't get what you mean. He stopped in the intersection.
Well, you know where the intersection is, and you know where outside the intersection is. So you're claiming he started to go, and in the intersection, he stopped.
He started to go, he stopped, and then he went.
Question is, the stopping, did it happen in the intersection or somewhere else?
He went, stopped, and then he went.
Where did he stop, Zeon? In the lane where he was in, or in the intersection in front of you?
Judge, Your Honor, is getting argumentative and badgering.
Overruled, but we are getting close.
Say it again, please.
Question is, did he
Take
stop?
the tone down.
Okay, no problem, Your Honor. I appreciate it. Did he stop in the intersection or did he stop in the turn lane he was in?
He was in both.
So he stopped in both, you're saying?
I mean, yeah, he was in both.
Thank you for your time, Zeon. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, does defense counsel want to ask any questions at this time?
I will be very brief.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. You can have that. That's yours.
You have it.
Sam, how are you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Thank you for being here today. You're in finals at school right now, is that right?
Yeah, going a lot right now in school.
What's your week been like?
Chaotic, running around in a lot of places, filming a lot of different stuff, writing a lot of essays.
And what do you have going on next week?
It'll be finals still, so we got to do all the multiple choices and a couple presentations.
I understand. And are you taking just tests? Or are you doing group presentations?
I'm doing group presentations, yeah.
So you have group members that are relying upon you to be there and pull your weight.
Yes.
Your Honor.
Sustained.
Do you have your group members that are relying upon you?
Yes, I do.
What are they relying upon you for?
To be there for them so that it don't mess up their grades for the finals. It's a lot.
And so would it mess up your grades?
Yeah, it will
Also
mess up.
speculation, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Would it mess up your grades as well?
Yeah, it messed up my grades big time.
Do you remember being asked about what the speed limit on that road is?
Say it again, please.
Do you remember what you were asked about the speed limit on that road
Asked by who?
by council today?
Yes.
Okay, and I want you to turn to your deposition transcript
Mm-hmm.
to page 36 for me, if you would.
Excuse me.
Now, earlier it was stated that you didn't recall the speed limit on the road, but I'm gonna read this deposition to you, starting at line 24. Question, you don't know what the speed limit is on the road that you were on when the collision occurred, correct? Answer,
Objection, Your Honor. I want to object. Deposition can only be used by an adverse party for any purpose. It can't be used by the same party for any purpose, Your Honor.
Response.
that's an incorrect statement of the use of a deposition. And it goes directly to Mr. Ladah's claim that Zeon testified he didn't know the speed limit. And this testimony would go to contradict that because it was different. It's in the deposition transcript that he did know.
32A3, Your Honor.
Thank you. I actually understand the rule the same way that the adverse party can use it for any purpose. So I need to know what purpose you're using it for, because this is your own client's testimony.
Understood, Your Honor. So counsel has implicated the credibility of my client by insinuating he did not know the speed limit
Okay.
through his testimony.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Yes, I think that's a good idea. These objective improper use of depositions. Your response is that you're using it to bolster.
So he stated, and this is what I had objected, it was a misstatement of testimony. He stated that he did not know he was going 35. He did not know the speed limit, or he did not know the speed limit on that road.
Okay, but the way you're using it isn't.
And I believe that I can show that he knew that, he testified to that. He made a misstatement of his deposition testimony.
You're defining our reading.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm
Move
sorry.
closer to you. I'm not
No,
sick.
that's okay.
It's not
No, you're
sick.
fine.
I'm just planning on reading deposition testimony like he did, because you can't do what he did because of the. Can you get this information in other ways possibly, but.
Sure, I can-
The same way.
Sure.
To be clear, so to that extent, it's sustained.
Okay. Zan, did you understand that the speed limit on that road was 35?
Yeah, but I really wasn't paying attention.
No, I understand that, but you knew the speed limit on that road was 35, correct?
As of now, yes.
Okay, and at the time of your deposition, you knew that the speed limit was 35.
No.
Turn to page 36 for me.
I object, Your Honor.
And he needs to refresh his
What's it being
recollection.
used for? Okay, it's.
I
it's
will
being
not
used to
read it.
refresh
He needs to
recollection.
refresh his recollection.
Okay, for that purpose, it's overruled. You do not read it out loud.
I will not read it out loud. Zaon, could you please start on page 36 and read lines 24 and then go over to the next page? And read through line 7.
All right.
At the time of your deposition, did you know that the speed limit on that road was 35?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. You were asked about not remembering what happened after the accident. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I don't remember what happened after the accident.
Why?
I don't, it was
Objection,
just,
this is gonna call for expert opinion, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
it was just, I mean, I just got in like a major accident and after I checked on Mr. Eric, I don't know, my body just went into shock and I just don't remember like really nothing, like literally nothing.
Thank you, Zaon. You were also asked about the time you spent in jail, that you only spent 56 days in jail. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I remember.
And they just released you after 56 days, is that right?
Yes.
That you didn't escape?
Objection, Your Honor, this is, first it's leading, and second of all, no one insinuated he escaped.
Okay, sustained.
Do you know why they let you out after only 56 days?
Good behavior and yeah.
Thank you. I, no further questions at this time. I'll reserve the right to recall.
Mr. Watson, any questions?
I have approximately 10 minutes, Your Honor.
Oh, thank you for the estimate. Then what we will likely do, and after Mr. Watson is done, we will take our lunch break. That should give, and I'm sorry, I don't know, and I don't need to know exactly who it was, but the person who had the concern about needing a lunch break, will give you a full hour when we do take the break. So probably approximately 12:25, 12:30, we'll take the break then for lunch.
All right. Good afternoon, Zeon.
Good afternoon.
We met briefly this morning, but my name is Tyler Watson. I represent your father in this action. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And I just want to follow up on a few lines of questioning that took place during your direct examination. To do that, I want you to go to Exhibit 17 in your exhibit book. Those were the speeding tickets or the tickets that were discussed. Just let me know when you're there.
What page?
So Exhibit 17, page 1. Are you there? Oh, you can see there, even better. Okay, and so the first ticket that comes up is dated November 27th, 2017, correct?
Can you guys read that? You can, okay, you're okay.
I object on leading grounds. This is not an adverse witness, Your Honor, for his client.
Sustained to the extent that this is, leading questions will not be permitted.
Okay, I'm just trying to do it for brevity, but can you see the date of this citation?
Yes.
Okay, what's the date?
11/27/2017.
Okay. Was this a speeding ticket?
No.
And the vehicle that you were driving, who was the owner?
My mother.
And did your mother and father live together at this time?
No.
Did they live together at any time?
No.
All right. Did you tell your mother about this ticket?
Yes.
Did you tell your father about this ticket?
No.
Any reason in particular you didn't tell your father about this ticket?
He don't live with us. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, then let's go to page 3. It's the next citation. What's the date on this one?
September 20th, 2018.
This one was a speeding ticket, right?
Yes.
Okay. Who's the owner of the vehicle that you were driving in this citation?
My mother.
Did you tell your father about this citation?
No.
Let's go to 1705. What's the date of this citation?
November 20th, 2018.
This is approximately 2 years before the crash that we're here for today, correct?
Yes.
Was this the last speeding ticket that you received prior to the collision that we're here for today?
Yes.
Who owned this vehicle?
My mother did.
Was your mother aware of this citation?
Yeah, I actually got in a lot of trouble.
All right, well, I'll follow up with that in just a second.
Yeah.
Was your father aware of this citation?
No.
How did your mother react to this ticket? And I assume the one that just happened, 3 months prior, 2 months prior.
Objection to the extent it calls for hearsay, Your Honor.
I don't know what the. Okay. Come on, approach please, because I need to know what the answer is gonna be before I can respond to that.
So the question was just, how did your mother react to these 2 citations?
Uh, a lot of words. No phone. And I was getting dropped off.
So as a consequence of this, November 2018 citation, you lost car privileges?
Yeah.
For how long?
I don't remember. Yeah.
All right, then let's go ahead and move over to the last citation in the debates are obscured. I think it's page 7. That's the right one. What was the vehicle that you were in for this citation?
My dad's.
Okay, that's the Dodge, correct?
Yes.
All right. Is this citation for speeding?
No.
What was this citation for?
It was like a little like island. It was like a store, a corner store, and then it was like a little island in the middle that they just put there, like a brand new island. And it was like real short turn. Like you can go left and just turn really. It's like a really, really, really short turn. You just turn left, and then I made the left hand turn right there. Yeah.
And was there a police officer visible at the time you made this turn?
Uh, yes.
Okay. Did you know that you were making an improper turn when you did it?
No, I didn't, because it was so it's so short that the island. Yeah, I just didn't know.
Okay. But again, you made this turn seeing a police officer in advance of making the turn.
Oh yeah, the police was there.
Okay. And for this one, was your father made aware of this citation?
No.
Was your father ever made aware prior to the collision we're here for today about any of the citations you received prior to the collision?
No, I never told him nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You testified earlier that you, on certain occasions, did drive with your father in the car. Do you recall that?
Yeah, that was like when I was really, really young, or like when he'll like come drop off the vehicle, probably take him back home or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that limited to the time that you had your learner's permit?
Yeah.
And when your father was in the car, were you doing your best to follow the rules of the road?
Yeah. Yes.
And why was that?
Because he'll take it away probably, or I don't know.
All right. No further questions. Thank you.
At this time, before we move on to, or before plaintiff's counsel is permitted to ask additional questions, this witness, we are gonna take our lunch break. I'm gonna give you a full hour for lunch today. It is 12:22 PM. I'm gonna ask that you come back at 1:30. Counsel, you're gonna get alternative instructions because we might come back a little earlier just to make sure that we're ready to go at 1:30. As for the jury, your instruction not to not talk with each other with anyone else about any subject or issue connected with this trial. You're not to read, watch, or listen to any report of or commentary on the trial by any person connected with this case or any medium of information, including without limitation, newspapers, television, internet, or radio. You're not to conduct any research on your own relating to this case, such as consulting dictionaries, using the internet, or using any reference materials. You're not to conduct any investigation, test any theory of the case, or recreate any aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own. You're not to talk with others, text others, Google, tweet others, Google issues, or conduct any other kind of book or computer research with regard to any issue, party, witness, or attorney involved in this case. You're not to form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is finally submitted to you. Okay, with that being said, you are on a break until 1:30. Thank you.
All rise.
Yeah, everyone can please be seated. You are free to step down, sir, if you would like. You don't have to stay up there. At this time, before we take our lunch break, does any council want to make any record?
I just want to make a record that I may need to recall Mr. Collins in the punitive phase. If we get to that phase, Your Honor. And the only objection I would be making when Ms. Zinna recalls Mr. Collins would be for asked and answered. I just want to make sure there's not repeats of the same questions, if that makes sense. So,
Okay, I would imagine that if you wanted to ask the questions that were pertinent to the punitive phase of the case, there would be an objection to do so at this time. Is that correct?
As far as the financial state of the defendant and whatever else would go to the punitive phase, yes.
You as well, Mr. Watson, or do you not really have a dog in this part of this fight?
That is not germane to my defense, so I'll abstain.
Okay, so to the extent you've requested to reserve that, your reservation is preserved. And you will be able to, you're still gonna, are you asking additional questions when we come back from lunch, or no, are you
Just-
done?
maybe not, maybe, I'm not sure. I just
Not sure
want to
yet.
consult with my co-counsel.
Okay. I want to say something too. And just in case I'm misunderstanding counsel, and then I'll let you make whatever record you want to make. Okay. You all are objecting a lot of times in the question phase, but not in the answer phase. If the objection is intended to also apply to the answer, and I know we just discussed that one here at the stand where none of us knew what the answer was going to be. So we didn't know, but if you intend to object to the answer, make sure you are raising the objection again after the answer is said, so that I can make a ruling on that too. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? Because sometimes a question is or isn't objectionable. Sometimes the answer is or isn't objectionable. Sometimes it's not even the same basis. So I just want to make sure counsel understand that their objection to the question does not automatically mean that I understand you're also objecting to the answer, or whatever the answer ends up being. Does everybody get it?
I understand. Your Honor.
Understood, Your
Okay.
Honor.
So, additional record. Well, I'll just start with plaintiff's counsel first, just because they're plaintiff's counsel. Do you want to make any additional records at this time? And understanding too that we'll probably come back from lunch. I'd actually like you guys all back from lunch at 1:20, just so we have 10 minutes where we can make an additional record, unless somebody comes up with something now that we think is going to be longer than 10 minutes for sure. Anything from plaintiff's counsel?
No, just thinking scheduling, Judge, if we don't get to the fourth witness we had lined up today, which was going to be Marie Echevarria over Zoom, then we can slide her in on Monday without issue. I don't think it sets us back. If we can fit her in at the end of the day, then great, but based on how we're going, I think it's up in the air.
Okay, defense counsel, any additional record to make at this time?
Yes, just one record on the objection to the use of deposition, Rule 32. A6 allows, states that if a party offers an evidence only part of a deposition, an adverse party may require the offerer to introduce other parts that in fairness should be considered with the part introduced, and any party may itself introduce any other parts. And that is what I was saying. It was my position that Mr. Ladah misrepresented, that it did not provide, and I shouldn't say misrepresented, I apologize, counsel. He did not provide the full context of the deposition testimony as to certain pieces. And that was what I was attempting to clarify. And I believe that that would be an permissible use under Rule 32.
May I respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
My response is, in order to assert that she needed to do it when I was reading the deposition, not in her own or in her own examination. So she needs to bring that objection or that request while I'm actually reading the transcript, Your Honor.
Okay.
And say, you missed this part.
I understand the
I'm sorry.
concept. You can clarify more if you want, but I get what you're saying, that it should have been contemporaneous
Right.
or immediately upon you offering the part you offered.
You said it more eloquently than me.
Okay, defense counsel, any response to that?
I would just disagree with that assertion. The rule itself says any party itself may introduce other parts if that occurs. So that would just be my position for the record.
Okay, I actually do think that the first part of that rule does require the adverse party to do it contemporaneously or immediately at the time, to ask that all of it be introduced. The last part, that and any party may introduce any other parts. Full disclosure, I don't have a lot of experience with that part of this. However, I'm not sure that there was actual harm done here, because I think the parts you wanted in, I let in under refreshing recollection. So I think this is a moot point, because I think they came in under refreshing recollection, and I think that was a permissible way to bring them in. So I don't think they were excluded at this trial. But if anybody feels otherwise, I'm happy to hear additional argument on it. So let's start here, just because I want you to confirm that the parts you wanted in came in anyway under a different reason, because as a result, even if I was incorrect, I don't think there was harm then. But I'm happy to hear if they didn't come in.
So my position on that, Your Honor, would be going back to plaintiff's opening statement. He pulled up a piece of the deposition transcript that as to the speed limit on that road and only played the part of the deposition where Zaon said it was 35 miles an hour. Counsel asked again about it. And I was trying to clarify that in the deposition that Zaon unequivocally testified that the deposition or that the speed limit on that road, excuse me, was 35 miles an hour. And I wanted to, because that directly went to the credibility of the witness. I felt that that was important to read into the record. However, I understand Your Honor's position. I was still able to get it in under the refresh the recollection. I think I would have preferred it the other way, but I don't disagree that I was able to get that in.
Okay, so you're still able to get the information in that you sought to get in, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any response from plaintiff's counsel?
I don't think there was any harm, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, anything else before we take a break?
Nothing from defense.
Okay, I'll see everybody at 1:20, I hope. Anybody need access to the bathroom? And I'm looking at the parties, not to single you guys out, but because I usually counsel have no problem asking for stuff they need, but sometimes parties don't know when it's okay to talk. Okay, we'll go off the record. Thanks, guys. 844-652C. Anne Marie Echevarria versus Zaon Collins. When we broke, defense had just finished their questions in plaintiff's case in chief of Zaon Collins. Mr. Ladah, do you have additional questions for Mr. Collins?
No more questions at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, then I'm not gonna have Mr. Collins come back up here. And counsel can discuss how they want to deal with the break in the testimony if he's recalled later. Okay, so please discuss that during the next break. Mr. Ladah, who would you like to call at this time?
You call our expert witness, Sam Terry.
Hi, Mr. Terry. If you could just stay standing, you can put whatever you want on the table, and I'm just going to swear you in and ask you to raise your right hand.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under pain and penalty of perjury.
Yes, ma'am.
Please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Sure. My name is Samuel, Samuel. I go by Sam, and my last name is Terry, T as in Tom, Erry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Terry. When you have a seat, please bring that microphone as close to you as you can and make sure that little red square on the microphone is up for on.
If you want to test, you can just give it a little tap.
Got it.
Mr. Ladah, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Terry, what is your area of expertise?
I am an accident reconstruction consultant.
Any other areas of expertise?
That's Primarily the one I do testify regarding human factors, but that sort of plays into the whole accident reconstruction role.
What is traffic accident reconstruction, Mr. Terry?
Accident reconstruction is basically performing math and science, utilizing the evidence, the available evidence that we have to reconstruct the crash for speeds. If we have speed of the vehicle, we can go back in time, we can get distance, and we can start to understand what the collision looked like prior to, or what the incident looked like prior to the crash itself.
And what is human factors?
Human factors is really just our decision-making capability, like, or what influences our decisions for, in my particular case, human factors only related to accident reconstruction itself. Human factors is a huge field, but perception response time, when people decide to initiate turns, things of that nature.
What types of questions can accident reconstruction answer?
Essentially, you know, fault, liability, the severity of the crash, how severe the crash was, and if the crash was avoidable.
What type of evidence do traffic accident reconstructions look at?
It can vary wildly, but generally speaking, we look at the property damage that's observed on the involved vehicles, roadway evidence that's on the road. Occasionally there's videos, occasionally there's black box data off of vehicles. Those are typical evidence that we review.
Can you take us through your education and training in accident reconstruction, please?
So there's no degree for accident reconstruction. It's all specialized training. Typically, it's developed around peace officers, if you will. So most of the classes I've taken are specifically designed for peace officers performing accident reconstruction. We do have continuing education credits like other industries, and I've collected about 1,100 credit hours of accident reconstruction specific classes.
How long have you been doing accident reconstruction?
All told, like 27 years or so.
And are you accredited in accident reconstruction?
Yes, there is a accreditation commission. It's called ACTAR, Accreditation Commission for Traffic Accident Reconstructionist. It's I call it our bar exam, if you will. It's the only accrediting committee for accident reconstruction, and I have that accreditation.
How many traffic crashes have you reconstructed in your career?
I have to estimate, but I typically say between 1,000 and 2,000.
Can you tell us why you got into this field of accident reconstruction? What brought you into it?
Essentially, I'm a car guy. Always have been a car guy, and I enjoy forensics. And there's a longer story than that based on my degree, but in essence, those combine some things that I was interested in.
Have you been qualified by courts as an accident reconstructionist before?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been excluded by a court of law as an accident reconstructionist?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you been hired by the Department of Defense to do accident reconstructions?
I have the Department of Defense and all branches of the military as well.
What type of accidents, what type of injuries?
All kinds of accidents if it involves motor vehicles. Generally, it's passenger cars, light trucks, and motorcycles, but they could be intervening with, you know, a train or something else like that. But it's passenger vehicles, including heavy trucks, light vehicles, rollover incidents, low speed crashes, and, you know, high speed death cases as well.
How many fatal accidents have you reconstructed in your career?
I don't know.
Okay. Is a large number, or can you estimate for us?
It would be an estimate. Well, actually, it'd probably be more of a guess. So
That's okay. We don't want you to guess. Is it more than 10?
Oh, I would say so. Yes.
More than 50?
Probably less than 50.
Somewhere between 10 and 50.
I would say so.
Okay. Do you consider yourself an expert witness in the field of accident reconstruction and human factors?
I do. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Terry, what were you asked to do in this case?
Well, like we just spoke, basically perform an accident reconstruction. I wasn't there at the scene like the police were. I got all my evidence later, if you will. But I was asked to reconstruct the crash for speed and determine, the locations of the vehicles with respect to each other in the moments preceding the crash to determine if it was avoidable. And I guess provide those opinions.
What did you review to form your opinions?
In this particular case, I was, since it was a pretty catastrophic accident, I was provided a number of materials, including a whole wealth of scene photos depicting the property damage to the vehicles, the roadway evidence that was there and documented. I was provided a few videos of the scene and one of the incident itself. I was provided what I call legal documents, basically some statements of how the crash unfolded from the various involved parties. I was able to inspect Mr. Echevarria's vehicle. I was also provided some, we'll call black box. It's technically called the Event Data Recorder, EDR. It's black box data that provides some operational parameters for those vehicles in the moments preceding the crash.
Okay. I'm going to start with the simple and move up to the more complicated. Mr. Terry, did this collision occur in an intersection?
Yes.
Where did it occur?
On Fort Apache Road, on a side street, Furnace Gulch.
What were the different vehicles involved in this collision?
Both vehicles were 2016 models. The Collins vehicle is a 2016 Dodge Challenger. And Mr. Echevarria's vehicle was a 2016 Hyundai Accent.
I think I said it was a Hyundai Sonata, but you're saying it's a Hyundai Accent, correct?
I believe it's an Accent.
Thank you for correcting me. Can you tell us about the traffic control devices that would have controlled the intersection, if any?
So this Fort Apache goes north-south and there are no traffic controls, no stop signs. It's not a signalized intersection. Furnace Gulch is a street entering a neighborhood. There would be a stop sign for traffic coming out of Furnace Gulch onto Fort Apache, but we didn't have any vehicles traveling in either of those directions. So there's no there's no traffic controls either direction of travel on Fort Apache.
No stop sign for going into Furnace Gulch?
Correct.
Okay. And there's no traffic light there?
There's no traffic signal there. Correct.
Did your reconstruction tell us where exactly in the road the impact between the vehicles occurred?
It did. The investigating officers did measure what's called the AIC, area of initial contact. That measurement was provided to me. Also, I performed a site inspection. There was roadway evidence still remaining at the accident site when I was there 14 days after the crash, and found that documented AIC was it agreed with the roadway evidence. So I found it to be accurate.
When you say you went to the scene and actually confirmed the location of the AIC?
Yes, based on some tire marks that were left in the roadway. Yes.
Okay. I want to go over the AIC, or the area of initial contact. Can we pull up a 7-0125, please, Joe? Mr. Terry, we have this here if you need it to point out anything out.
Okay.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yeah.
I know it's obvious, but can you just point to where the AIC is in this picture, Mr. Terry?
So the officers did in fact mark it as an AIC right here. And you can see, consider the post-impact after the crash, these tire marks leading to the rest positions of the vehicles. These particular, like the green mark was from Mr. Collins' vehicle. The orange was for Mr. Echevarria's vehicle.
Hold on a second. Okay, two things. We're gonna give you a handheld mic, so when you
Okay.
stand up, just hold the handheld mic. Do any of the jurors want this TV on as well, closer to you guys, or is this one okay? If anybody wants this TV on, if you raise your hand, we'll get the TV pushed out. Okay. So if you don't mind just holding on a minute and we'll push the TV out.
I can help if you need help.
Um,
Ron.
How close to being out of the furnace, out of the intersection was the AIC?
Did that question make sense?
It does, yes. And so the way the officers measure it is they use the curb lines as a reference. So you kind of sight down that curb line right there. The AIC was documented as 4 foot into the roadway right here, which they described as the bike lane. Basically, so Mr. Echevarria is coming this way to turn left, so it's right on the road edge on Fort Apache.
Does that mean Mr. Echevarria's white Hyundai would have almost made it onto Furnace Gulch when the impact occurred?
Right, so the front of Mr. Collins' Challenger struck the right side of Mr. Echevarria's Hyundai, like right in the kind of in the driver door, passenger door. So if you kind of envision Mr. Echevarria's vehicle being right here with the driver door, then the front tire is basically in this drain gutter, right on the road edge.
Are you saying the front tires of Mr. Echevarria's Hyundai would have been in the gutter?
Yes, for sure the left front, possibly the right front.
Okay. Can we go to 7-0123, please, Joe? Can we see the AIC in this picture?
Yes, thankfully, they did mark it AIC right there, so you can see the mark from the officer's measurement.
Okay. And can we go to 7-0124, please, Joe? And same here. Can you show us where the AIC would be?
Right about in here.
Where exactly on the vehicles did the impact occur? In other words, where did the two vehicles come to contact with each other? Mr. Terry?
Where did they come in contact with each other?
Yes.
Okay, so the front of the Challenger struck the right side here of Mr. Echevarria's vehicle.
In the center, at the front, in the back, where exactly?
It's pretty close to the center. It's just it's directed a little bit towards the front of the vehicle. So Mr. Echevarria's vehicle is a 4-door. And so there's 2 doors on each side. It's more concentrated towards the front door, what would be the passenger door, but there was intrusion into the rear door. So it's pretty much the center of the vehicle, but directed a little bit towards the front.
Thank you. And can we go to 7-0099, please? Can you explain how the white Hyundai that Mr. Echevarria was driving went through this wall?
I can't tell you exactly dynamically what was happening as they departed the road because they mounted the curb, they broke the curb, they ran over some rocks and terrain there. But ultimately, Mr. Echevarria's vehicle ended up striking this block wall and breaking it. And this mark right here is this kind of rectangle shape mark. Appears to me it's masonry. It's got scratches all the way into the paint and into the metal. I believe that the top of this vehicle at one point in time was in contact with the top of the wall, and then it fell back. You see the rest position of the vehicles, like Mr. Echevarria's vehicle is kind of on top of Mr. Collins' vehicle. So I believe it tilted up, broke the wall, and then fell back down onto the top of Mr. Collins' vehicle.
Did that occur as a result of the gray Dodge Challenger driven by Zaon Collins crashing into the white Hyundai?
Yes, sir.
So was it the force, the impact that made the Hyundai go on the wall?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, now I want to ask you about black box data. What exactly does black box data, that term, refer to?
Consider stand, if you look back, me in a minute, whatever you're more comfortable, if you're comfortable staying standing, you can, if you want to sit back down, you're welcome to.
Thank you. So,
We're
Black-
no longer using the exhibit. May we take things down?
Are you still using this?
No, we can take it down.
so you often hear the term black box with reference to airplanes and things of that nature. Airplanes record continuously. Automobiles don't work exactly like that. They are continuously recording and monitoring, but they won't store an event. They won't store data unless they detect a crash. And so when they detect a crash, the airbag module is basically saying, hey, we need to make a decision whether we deploy an airbag or not, because this crash may be more severe than just a fender bender, if you will. And so once it makes the command to deploy an airbag, it will store the data. And there's usually about 5 seconds of pre-crash data before the crash that's stored on the buffer that gets written to the module. We get to see that operational data for vehicle speed, sometimes steering, braking, as well as we get details about the severity of the crash.
Does the term EDR mean the same thing as black box?
Yes, I use them interchangeably. The industry standard is EDR, but black box is the generic term.
Generally, what can black box data from a car tell us?
Again, if there's data there, it'll give us some operational data for speed, braking, steering. Some are very sophisticated and we get a lot more data. We even get individual wheel speeds on some vehicles. Things of that nature, if you will.
Were you able to get black box data from the vehicles involved in this collision?
I did get black box data for both vehicles, yes.
Do all black boxes preserve the same number of seconds of data, or is it vary by model?
It varies by model. It is mandated by the government for 5 seconds after 20 vehicles manufactured after 2013. Some vehicles stored less and some vehicles store more prior to that. But for whatever reason, sometimes we still don't get 5 seconds. Toyota records 4.7, but most all vehicles record 5 seconds of data.
How many seconds of data do you have for the black box data from the Dodge Challenger?
I have 5 seconds of pre-crash data.
Okay. Can we pull up 702-001, please, Joe? Is this the black box data from the Dodge Challenger?
It's a Excel sheet that I created from the data, but yes.
Okay. Are there any lines in here that are not directly from the black box data?
Yes.
Which one? And if you want to, use that, the pointer, that'd be great.
So the Dodge Challenger gives us 5 seconds of data, but it's in a higher resolution. We get data every 1/10 of a second on that vehicle. For Mr. Echevarria's vehicle, we get it in half-second intervals. So this table just has the half-second intervals, but the other thing is the Collins vehicle stops at 0.1 seconds prior to the crash. The last data point we get is 0.1 seconds prior. It doesn't actually tell us the speed of the vehicle at time zero, we'll call it, where Mr. Echevarria's vehicle did. So at 0.1 seconds prior to the crash, so a half second prior, you can see 90, sorry, that's in feet per second. Here it is, 66 miles an hour, a half a second prior. We got a data point at 0.1 second prior that showed that vehicle was going 61 miles per hour. And so then we take this speed differential and we calculate the deceleration rate. And I calculate if Mr. Collins' vehicle continued to brake for another 0.1 second, it would be At time zero, it'd be going 59 miles an hour. So that is a calculation that's performed right there. We didn't actually get that data point from the black box data.
So are all the other lines directly from the black box data?
We get time, speed. This is a calculation in feet per second that I performed. And then we integrate feet per second into distance. So all we get is time and speed. And then to be clear, the Echevarria vehicle gives us speed in kilometers per hour. So it is converted here to miles per hour from kilometers per hour. So that everything's on the same.
Perfect. That was going to be my next question, Mr. Terry. Does this table also show the Echevarria black box data?
It does here. So this is the Echevarria Hyundai for the same timestamps, how fast it was going prior to the crash and at the time of the crash.
And is all the lines on the Echevarria side of this table directly come from the Echevarria black box data?
Yes.
So none of those did you have to calculate yourself?
Oh, well, the distance was calculated and feet per second, because again, it only gives us in kilometers per hour.
I'm sorry, what I meant to say was for the point of impact, you had to extrapolate for the Collins data. Is that right?
Oh, yes, correct.
Did you have to do the same for any of the Echevarria data?
No, that's directly from the EDR.
Great. All right. This time, Your Honor, I seek to admit 72-001. This is the only one of this exhibit that hasn't been admitted yet.
Is there any objection to the admission?
Objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, hearing no objection, this document will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right. Take us through the Collins Dodge Challenger speed in the 5 seconds leading up to the crash as indicated in this table, please.
So you can see at 5 seconds prior to the crash, he's traveling at 85 miles per hour. There is a slight acceleration all the way up until approximately 2 seconds prior to the crash. So at 2 seconds prior, he's traveling 88 miles per hour. From the detailed data that we get, the 1/10 of a second data, we can see that Mr. Collins applied the brakes at about 1.8 seconds prior to the crash and began slowing. So at 1.5, he's going 81. And we know from the EDR data itself, he's traveling 66, a half a second prior. And as we discussed, the 59 was calculated based on the deceleration rate of the vehicle.
What was the speed limit on Fort Apache Road where he was driving in the 5 seconds preceding the crash?
35 miles per hour.
Would you agree that he was exceeding the speed limit in the 5 seconds leading up to the crash?
I would agree, yes.
Where he was speeding, would you describe this as a residential area?
So the area is residential. Fort Apache is a feeder street, and then Furnace Gulch and several of the other adjacent streets are entrances and exits to neighborhoods. So it's a neighborhood but on a feeder street.
So Fort Apache is the feeder street that leads into side streets that go to residential areas, you're saying?
Correct.
Got it. Did that weigh into your analysis here at all, where this crash occurred and where this speeding occurred?
It did, yes.
How so?
These are highway speeds on surface street roads. And that's the primary consideration in this particular case. On our highways, our controlled access highways, we don't have ingress and egress streets. And that's why our speed limits are 75 or higher on those, because we don't have intervening traffic, because it's difficult to judge speed for vehicles coming on and off the highway. So on surface streets where we have something like this, neighborhoods, even businesses, entrances and exits, that's why our speed limits are lower. So again, we had highway looking speeds on a surface street. So that was obviously a consideration.
From this data, could you calculate how far away from the intersection Mr. Collins in that Dodge Challenger would have been at each point in time leading up to the crash?
Yes, and that's this That's this column right here.
Okay. Can we put up 72-003, please, Joe? And can we actually put it side by side with this one if possible? All right, so can you show us on your diagram where Mr. Collins would have been at T-5 seconds prior to the crash?
Right, so this is the graphical version of the data that we just looked at. And so this is a scaled diagram showing where where the crash took place, the AIC. And so at 5 seconds prior, there's a scale here that kind of gives you a reference. But at 5 seconds prior, he's back over just on the edge of the screen here.
And how far away would he have been if we pull up that other, there we go.
Almost 600 feet, 592 feet,
And how long is a football field without the end zones, Mr. Terry?
100 yards, 300 feet.
Okay, so how many football fields without the end zones would it be? He had been away from the intersection when it was at T-5 seconds?
If my math is right, that'd be two,
Almost two.
almost two.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. Now, T-4 seconds. How far would he have been from the intersection at that point?
467 feet.
Okay. T-3 seconds.
339 feet,
And T-2
211 feet,
and T-1.
90 feet,
Okay. And then T-0.5.
38 feet.
Okay. Because of his speed, is he closing in rapidly on that intersection?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. If we take the Zeon Dodge Challenger and put him where he was at T-2.5 seconds, we take that off and just circle the T-2.5 seconds. Joe, if you don't mind. Thank you. If he was going 35 miles an hour instead of the speed he was going from T-2.5 seconds all the way up to reaching the intersection, by the time he reaches the intersection, where would the Echevarria vehicle have been?
So if we move Mr. Collins' vehicle forward from this position at 35 miles per hour
Yes.
versus the faster rate of speed that he was actually traveling, he would arrive at this, what we call the conflict point, 2.9 seconds later. And at that time, Mr. Echevarria would be approximately 80 feet down Furnace Gulch.
80 feet, how far, I mean, just to give a context, can we get an idea where that would have been on this diagram?
Saying that's about 80, so it would be near this, whatever this road is right here.
Oh, so near that cross street all the way down off of Furnace Gulch.
Correct. Somewhere around in here. That is an estimate.
Got it. And that would have been by the time the Collins Dodge Challenger made it to the intersection from T-2.5 seconds to the point of reaching the intersection if the Collins vehicle was just going 35 instead of the high rate of speed.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, that's 35 miles an hour, which is 50 feet per second moving forward this way. And so we don't have any data after the crash, so I'm holding Mr. Echevarria's vehicle at 19 for that duration, and he would be somewhere down in here.
Perfect. Thank you. So what if we change that scenario and put it at 45 miles an hour? If the Collins vehicle was actually going 10 miles over the speed limit, 45 miles an hour from T-2.5 up to when it would have reached the intersection, where would the Collins, the Echevarria vehicle have been?
So 45 miles an hour.
May we approach?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and continue, Mr. Ladah.
So let me ask you this, based on what you said about 35 miles an hour. If Zeon was going 35 miles an hour from T-2.5, putting him in the same spot at T-2.5, 35 miles an hour up to beyond there, and Mr. Echevarria is at the same spot and attempts the same turn, would the collision ever have occurred?
No.
Did you determine that Mr. Collins swerved before the collision? Jim?
Mr. Collins, yes, he did.
Did you create a diagram on the swerving?
It's essentially the same diagram. Yes. Well, there's one with a arrow.
Lost it. I apologize. Sports indulgence. Okay, I'll come back to it. Lost my place. I apologize. Did you read Zeon's deposition transcript?
I did, yes.
Did he say what lane he was in preceding the crash?
He said he was in the right lane.
Did he do anything to determine what lane he was actually in?
Did I do anything? Yes. I reviewed the video with respect to landmarks and utilized the EDR data for some math to determine where he would be at the onset of the steering.
Is the video that you're referring to?
I believe it was the one that was watched. It is the incident video, I guess, from the residence that's located south of the AIC.
Can we pull up the video and show us? Oh, please.
Based on the video, Mr. Terry, what lane determined Mr. Collins was in?
So on approach right there, as he's entering the video, if you will, there's one traffic lane. It's one wide lane, 15 to 18 feet, depending on road edge or so. Just beyond that, about where the vehicle is stopped right now, the road widens to 2 lanes. There's a left lane that's only 12 feet wide, and the right lane is 27 feet wide, plus a bike lane. And so just beyond where the road widens, if you will, is where the swerve took place, about 2 to 2.1 seconds prior to the collision.
Is he in the left lane all the way up to 2 to 2.1 seconds prior to impact?
Yes.
All right, now let's pull up the black box data again, if you will, Joe. 72-001. Did the Echevarria black box data tell us whether or not Mr. Echevarria braked at any point?
It does tell us that.
What does it tell us exactly?
So here you go. The data show that he was on the brake right here when the recording started at 5 seconds prior, and he released the brakes here. And then there was no braking that occurred from T-minus 4.5 all the way up to the collision event.
Are you saying that from T-minus 4.5 seconds all the way up to the impact, Mr. Echevarria did not brake?
That's correct.
Did you hear Mr. Collins testify earlier that Mr. Echevarria stopped partially in the intersection?
Yes.
Does the data indicate that, or does the data indicate he did not stop in the intersection?
No, objection outside the scope.
Outside scope of
His report, he did not perform this calculation in his report.
Right there, Your Honor, and he sat through the testimony of Mr. Collins.
Overruled. The question is, does the his data indicate a stop? right? Okay, that's fine.
Does
Overall.
this data indicate a stop at any point by Mr. Echevarria's vehicle in the intersection, or even partially in the intersection?
No, you can see that the vehicle never came to zero. It did get as low as 1.8, but there was no stop movement. It was a continuous left turn.
So he's moving continuously the entire time in the turning process?
Yes,
Is that from T minus 4.5 all the way to the point of impact?
that's correct.
Thank you. Does the Echevarria vehicle slow down or speed up over the period of time between T minus 4.5 up to the point of impact?
It continues to increase in speed through the entire last 5 seconds.
Was he in the continuous process of making a turn throughout that period?
Yes,
Did he stop at any point during his turn?
no, sir.
Was he driving at a reasonable speed for a turn based on your reviewing the data?
Yes,
Anything abnormal about his turn?
not that I could see, no.
Does the data allow you to determine when Mr. Echevarria would have likely made the decision to make the turn?
It does, yes.
Where?
Not in this data, but we can see some acceleration data. It begins to, you can see it's kind of a slow acceleration rate, and then the acceleration rate gets more rapid. So at about 2.5 seconds, this data in conjunction with the video that we just saw shows that Mr. Echevarria began to accelerate or initiate the left turn 2.5 seconds prior.
What point, at how far away would the Collins Dodge Challenger have been at that point?
As this chart shows, 275 feet.
Did you conduct an analysis to determine whether he should have had enough space to make the turn at that point if Zeon was going the speed limit?
I did, yes.
What did your analysis show?
So at the onset of the left turn for Mr. Echevarria, if Mr. Collins' vehicle was going the posted speed limit, Mr. Echevarria would have cleared the intersection and been east on Furnace Gulch at the time Mr. Collins arrived at the impact point.
Would Mr. Echevarria have been able to tell how fast Mr. Collins was going at any point?
I don't believe so, no.
Why not?
So when we're making judgments for speed of approaching objects and things like that, we use landmarks to make those decisions, if you will. So if something is coming directly at us, we don't really have any landmarks to utilize by comparison to something that's moving laterally left to right in front of us. So for instance, from Mr. Collins' point of view, as the Echevarria vehicle begins to turn, he's got lane lines. The vehicle looks like this small. Now we're looking at the side profile. There's a vehicle behind it. You can see that object move in relation to landmarks behind it or even in front of it. But if a vehicle's coming directly at you, it's just in the traffic lane, you're looking at it, you don't have the advantage of those landmarks. So it's very difficult to judge speed of something that's coming directly at you.
So would Mr. Echevarria have been able to tell how fast Mr. Collins was going when Mr. Echevarria made the decision to make the turn?
No.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Do you have any response to that?
It's an expert opinion, Your Honor. He's also a human factors expert.
You want to say anything else?
Yes, Your Honor, the opinion, regardless of Mr. Sherry's status, still calls for speculation. He was not in the mind of Mr. Echevarria as to whether or not he would have been able to see or judge the speed.
Okay, the question is not did he.
Was he able to?
Was he able to?
Right.
And was he able to, I'm gonna let you, limited to your expertise from what you just discussed about seeing a vehicle coming at you head on, I'm gonna permit you to answer the question, so overruled.
It would be very difficult for Mr. Echevarria to discern the speed of the approaching Collins vehicle.
Is there peer-reviewed literature, publications or studies that tell us what people look at when they're deciding whether to make a left turn across the opposite direction of traffic such as in the circumstances we have here in this case?
Yes, there is.
What does that literature tell us people look at when deciding whether or not to make a left turn?
We call it gap. It's basically the gap in traffic. And it's a measurement of what is the gap in traffic with respect to how much time I need to take a left and get across the street to safety. So we make our judgment based on approaching vehicles, obviously not turning in front of them, but if there's two vehicles approaching, we are judging that gap in distance.
Do you call it gap distance or just gap? I'm sorry.
So there's gap distance and there's gap time, and they're interchangeable with respect to speed. So we evaluate it based on the speed limit of the road.
Why is it evaluated based on the speed limit of the road?
Because it goes back to our difficulty in judging speed of approaching vehicles. When we're going to take a left across conflicting traffic, that vehicle is essentially coming at us. We have difficulty judging speed in that scenario. So we make the general assumption that people are abiding by the rules of the road. And so the evaluation is performed at the speed limit.
Based on your calculations and that literature, did Mr. Echevarria have enough gap distance in between him and the Collins Dodge Challenger when Mr. Echevarria decided to make that turn?
Yes. So in a nutshell, at 2.5 seconds prior, when we see Mr. Echevarria actually initiating the turn, as you can see from the chart, the Collins Dodge is 275 feet away. 35 miles an hour is 51 feet per second, call it 50 feet per second. That's a 5.5 second gap in traffic, when in reality, we know that he only actually had 2.5 seconds available to him, because at the time he initiated the turn, the crash occurred 2.5 seconds later. So I just want to be clear that he perceived he had a 5.5 second gap. However, he only had a 2.5 second gap.
When you say he perceived he had a 5.5 second gap, can you explain?
Sure. So at 275 feet away, a vehicle traveling the speed limit would arrive at the conflict point at approximately 5.5 seconds later. So based on, difficulty judging the speed of the appropriate vehicle, you look at the gap, we judge about how much time we need, in essence, to initiate our turn. So had he been provided that 5.5 seconds of actual time, he would be clear of Fort Apache Road and on Furnace Gulch going eastbound, clear of any conflict.
Does that mean when he turned, he would have had an extra 3 seconds before Mr. Echevarria would have gotten, or sorry, before Mr. Collins would have gotten to the intersection if Mr. Collins was just going the speed limit?
Correct. He perceived he had 2.9 seconds or 3 seconds more than he actually had.
Was that perception reasonable based on the literature you reviewed and your human factors expert?
Yes.
What is the average gap distance the motoring public views as fair or reasonable to make a left turn?
So the 50th percentile, like the average driver would initiate a left with a 4.5 second, or I think it's 4.4 second gap in traffic.
And did Mr. Echevarria have an extra 1.1 seconds on top of that he would have perceived?
Oh, he would have perceived he had more than 4.4. He actually had, 5.5.
Thank you. How do drivers tell whether or not a vehicle is an immediate hazard when they're turning left across opposing traffic? Is it the gap distance or the speed of the oncoming vehicles?
Again, with our inability to judge speed accurately, it's the distance. That's what we're looking at.
From Mr. Echevarria's perspective, would he been able to tell that the Dodge Challenger was an immediate hazard to him when he made the decision to make that left turn?
No.
Is it because of the Challenger high rate of speed?
Correct.
Are there studies that give us good estimates on what percentage of the motoring public would make a left turn in that situation based on the gap distance that Mr. Echevarria perceived he had?
Yes, there are studies.
What percentage?
80 to 82% of all the motorists would accept a 5.4 second gap or 5.5 second gap that Mr. Echevarria perceived that he had.
Where do those studies come from?
There's a number of them, and most of them are actual real world naturalistic studies. They're actually videos of intersections with left turning vehicles with marked known distances, and people compile that data for where the approaching vehicle is with respect to the onset of the turning vehicle that's going to turn across the path.
Does that mean, based on those studies and that data, that 80% of the motoring public would have attempted the same turn that Mr. Echevarria did in that situation?
Correct. That's exactly what it means.
As part of your research on this case, did you conduct any research on the percentage of traffic crash fatalities that were caused by speeding across the country?
I did, yes.
What percentage?
Across the country, the number of across the country in the US, the number of fatalities in or the number of instances where fatalities occur, what is the percentage of those that involve speeding? And it's 28%. That makes
Did you
sense.
compare that percentage to traffic crashes in Nevada?
I did, yes.
What was the percentage of traffic crashes in Nevada that were fatalities that were from speeding?
Slightly higher, 29% of fatalities in Nevada involve speeding.
Did you compare that to Clark County?
I did.
What was the percentage in Clark County of traffic fatalities that were caused by drivers speeding?
32%.
Does that mean Clark County has a higher percentage of traffic crash fatalities caused by speeding than the nation as a whole?
It does, yes.
Did you also look at the average number of deaths over that period per year as a result of drivers speeding on our roadways here in Clark County?
I did. There was a 5-year window that was provided by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. During that 5 years, there was an average of 70 speeding related fatalities in Clark County per year.
Is it foreseeable based on that speeding on our roadways can cause a death?
Yes.
Is speeding in our roadways a problem in our community?
One of the question calls for a legal conclusion.
Response.
He's doing it based on the data and based on his expertise, Your Honor. I think it's fair game.
Also outside the scope of his report.
Okay, so, for now, skip the question. I'll make a ruling in a minute,
Okay,
after we discuss some of the other stuff we talked about.
okay. Mr. Terry, what was the cause of this crash in your opinion?
Mr. Collins' approach speed is the proximate cause of this crash.
Based on the distance, would Eric have been able to tell how fast the Dodge Challenger was going when Eric Echevarria made the decision to make that turn?
No.
Based on the distance, would Eric have perceived or been able to perceive that Dodge Challenger as an immediate hazard to him when Mr. Echevarria decided to make that turn?
No.
Was it unreasonable, based on your expert opinion, for Mr. Echevarria to make that turn, considering how far away from that intersection Mr. Collins' Dodge Challenger was when he made the decision to make the turn?
Objection, Your Honor, central issue of the case. And, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'll start legal conclusion.
Response.
He's an expert opinion. He can give an opinion on this, Your Honor.
Can you repeat the question quickly?
Question was it unreasonable for Mr. Echevarria to try to make that turn, considering how far away from the intersection Mr. Collins' Dodge Challenger was when Mr. Echevarria made the decision to make the turn?
Okay, based on your expertise, overruled.
Go ahead.
It would not be unreasonable based on the data. We can tell where Mr. Echevarria would be had he perceived the location of the Collins vehicle on approach at the time he took the left. and 80% of the motoring public would initiate the left.
And you're saying 80% of the motoring public would have attempted that turn in that position?
Correct.
Do you put any fault on Mr. Echevarria for this crash?
Objection. Ultimate issue of the case calls for legal
State.
conclusion.
Let me ask it this way. Did you find Mr. Echevarria's conduct consistent with what you would expect from the motoring public?
Yes.
Are all your opinions thus far stated to a reasonable degree of professional probability?
Yes.
Can we take a break, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
We are just gonna take a short, 10-minute, this is gonna be your afternoon break, and then, we're gonna try to, when you get back, keep going until we break for the evening unless somebody has emergencies. So at this time, it is 2:36. I'm gonna ask that you come back at 2:50. You're instructed not to talk with each other with anyone else about any subject or issue connected with this trial. You're not to read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial by any person connected with the case or by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, internet, or radio. You're not to conduct any research on your own relating to this case, such as consulting dictionaries, using the internet, or using reference materials. You're not to conduct any investigation, test any theory of the case, recreate an aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own. You're not to talk with others, text others, tweet others, Google issues, or conduct any other kind of book or computer research with regard to any issue, party, witness, or attorney, or anyone else involved with this case. You're not to form or express any opinion on any subject connected with this trial until it is finally submitted to you. Okay, with that being said, you are on a break until 2:50.